You guys, I don't know who's been blessing me, but I've been getting such good luck with used books lately. These are some of the used books that I've gotten lately, and I'm obsessed. So first, let's talk about what I picked up at Strand. I got Dance Night by Powell. I believe this was only a few dollars. I really want to diversify what I read, and I just haven't read a lot of historical American novels, and I thought that this would be a really good pick, especially women working in factories. It was just very intriguing to me, and cover is gorgeous. I love the script. Yeah, the script is gorgeous. And then next I got Writers and Lovers by Lily King. I was so surprised to find this on the used book cart, but it's in really, really good condition, honestly. I've already started. I'm only like a chapter or two in, and so far I like it. It's essentially told from the POV of a woman who is kind of coming to terms with her mother's death, as well as a recent breakup. In her early 30s, she lives in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is summer of 1997. And essentially she's determined to live this really creative life. Throughout her 20s, she had all these creative friends who also wrote, but as they grew up, they kind of dropped their writing, they dropped their creative professions in order to pursue something more quote unquote realistic. And she was the only one who ever really stuck with this and was quite stubborn about, yeah, just living this creative life. I don't know, I love that type of ambition, and it's something that I feel quite strongly for, and something that I want for myself. I do agree with the quote up front. It says, wonderful, witty, and heartfelt. It is quite witty. I'm very interested in Lily King's writing now. Again, I'm only like 2 chapters in, but like I kind of laugh out loud at some parts. So I'm quite interested to see how the rest of the book goes. Next are these two I am so excited for. I literally yesterday went to the Brooklyn Book Festival. If any of y'all live in New York, like, please go next year. It was such an amazing experience. It was so well organized. Shout out to all of the volunteers, all of the organizers. It was wonderful, and I think it's just such a lovely thing to see the book community come together in such like a beautiful way, and just celebrating reading and all types of genres. There were comics there, nonfiction. There was a lot of different types of magazine, literary magazine. I did pick up the most recent Paris Review, Fall 2025. I love the little bunny. If y'all did not know, bunnies are my favorite animal. I have 2 tattooed on me. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. It was just really wonderful, and I could go on and on raving about it. One, I picked up Second Place by Rachel Cusk. I've been wanting to pick up a Rachel Cusk book for so long. Such great condition. I was so surprised. Usual market price is $25. I got this book for $8, y'all. I'm excited to dive into Rachel Cusk. I know most people recommend starting with her outline series before diving into any of her other work, but I have a feeling that I will like her work. And lastly, I got A Little Life. We all know this book. I know most people have the edition with the face. I do love how iconic that is, but I don't know. I love how simple this is and how New York it is, which it's a very New York book. And I love how worn in this book is. Like, I don't know, do you guys see, sorry, my face. Do you guys see like the lines? I hope it shows. Like if I open, I don't know if it's showing on camera. Yeah, maybe this way. I don't know if it's showing on camera, but this book has been loved. I am happy when I get a used book and it's a good deal and it's an amazing quality. But what I love even more is when I get a book, it's a good deal and it's worn in and it has so much character. And this one, y'all, I was about to cry picking this up, because tell me why. I opened this, I'm like checking through. There is a handwritten note. There's a handwritten note. I'll get to this when I get to it, because I have a really, really big TBR, but I don't know, I'm excited for this one.
每一個入嚟呢間鋪頭嘅人都有一個理由。
And as a receptionist.
In New York?
In New York, yeah, on 50th Street, yeah. And it was like I kind of went into it, you know, from like a little bit.
Aspirations, you know, you didn't have like career desires because there was no really like. I do feel like we're in the cafeteria.
Hello. I feel like whenever I check in, I always have random stuff in the background. Sorry for my laundry. I wanted to do a reading wrap up. These were all of the books I read in September. I read quite a few books. This is a lot for me actually. Granted, Alchemize was literally over 1,000 pages, you guys. Part of that is because I had like 2 weeks of unemployment, fun employment, before starting my new job. So I just had a little bit more time. And overall October was just, it was a really fun month for me. October, oh my gosh, no, I meant overall September. September was a really fun month for me. I went to go see Willem Dafoe and Ethan Hawke talk for New York Film Festival, and within like 2 minutes it sold out. So I'm really glad I was able to secure tickets. It was a pretty small venue, so it was a really intimate talk. I was in the 3rd row, so really close, and wow, like I could not believe I was in the presence of greatness. I mean, it's just two legends first of all, but like Willem Dafoe, man, oh man, it's just, I think the biggest takeaway from this talk was, actually I wrote it down on my phone, like Ethan Hawke said something that really resonated with me. He said something along the lines, don't quote me on this, something along the lines of work to keep your art interesting and let your life be a bore. I think that that is so beautiful. Sometimes that means that you have to sacrifice going out, you have to sacrifice hanging out with your friends, you have to be the person who stays inside, be that boring friend, because you care more about your craft, you care more about this thing that you want to build for yourself, you care more about this creative side to you than you do anything else. That is where greatness is born. It just really resonates with me. And lastly, I went to a talk on Zoom that the Institute of Art and Olfactory, they were having with Marissa Zappas, I believe is how you pronounce her name. She is a perfumer. She has her own perfume line that is just her name. She also co-owns a perfume line with her friend. I forget the name of that one because that one is a little bit harder to pronounce, but it starts with the letter G. Perfumery has been my latest obsession. I love to go smell perfumes on the weekends, and we have collected quite a lot of samples. Literally so many. This is not even all of them. This is just what I keep in here. There's a lot more. And it was really amazing to hear her journey, like going to this talk and just absorbing myself with more creative people, even if it's through Zoom, and like attending these types of conversations make me feel like I'm part of the conversation, make me feel like I'm not alone in feeling these things, and like, I don't know, it also makes me feel like I'm not a late bloomer. Like Marissa, she told us that she dropped out of high school and she didn't go to college until 25, and then, you know, she moved to New York and she was never even planning to get her master's, and she got her master's in like anthropology, which is not related to perfumery at all, but as part of that anthropology master's program, she studied abroad in Paris, and I think she either stayed, or like the university was near a cemetery, or she stayed near a cemetery, something like that. She would go there quite frequently and was really absorbed in like the smells of the cemetery. She ended up doing her dissertation or like some project about the cemetery odor. That was kind of like the initial spark of kind of getting into the world of like scents and like, I don't know, like what it could be. And then like going back to New York, she got a receptionist job at one of the perfume companies, and she kind of just got lucky when a position opened up. You just never know where life takes you. Now I think that she has a very successful career in my eyes, and the way that she was able to share that wisdom with us really meant a lot. And I don't know, she was just saying like, if you want to learn perfumery or if you like want to do anything creative, like just don't give up. Like there's so many resources out there. It was just it felt very reassuring to hear. Now for the books that I read in the month of September. I am so excited to talk because there's a lot of good ones here. Devotion by Patti Smith. This was my first Patti Smith book and I'm glad it is. It's a really short little novella. Essentially it's split into 2 parts. The first part is her in France. It's kind of like a journal style. She goes to Albert Campus's house. She's there with his daughter and she's like kind of, you know, exploring the house, taking note of things. She notices his door, how it must have been like to be his daughter standing and waiting outside that door while he's in there like working hard and he wouldn't come out for hours. And then, you know, she goes and tries to find Simone Weil's grave and, you know, writing stories about that and just going to explore these different places and jotting down these like bits of information and inspiration. And then as she's on the train, she starts to handwrite everything, starts to jot down the initial ideas of the second part, which is her short story. The short story follows this ice skater and basically just her obsession with being the best, and then it kind of turns into a different type of obsession. I'm like, I don't know how much to say about it. It's a weird dynamic, let's just say that. There's an older guy involved, so there's that. But this is my first look at Patti Smith's writing and I definitely do see her brilliance shine in this. Like, it was very compelling to read. Okay, next is Schoolgirl by Osamu Daize. Man, he led a really tragic life. If you guys ever look up his Wikipedia, it's quite sad. He tried to take his own life many times and he successfully did eventually. So he has just dealt with a lot of depression throughout his entire life. He just really explored his depression and I don't know, like self-hatred and isolation and all these things in his writing. And Schoolgirl explores that in the form of a schoolgirl. Literally follows a schoolgirl from the moment she wakes up until she falls asleep. It's really short. It's literally just a little bit over 100 pages. It's not necessarily sad. I think there are some parts that are kind of funny, some parts that are a little bit more haunting. I think like it bounces back and forth a lot. Oh, I should have said, this is all written in like stream of consciousness. It's literally just like a brain dump of everything she's thinking. So her thoughts are like super intense at like that girl looks so weird and like why do I look like that, and like, oh, there's a frog. You know, like it's like kind of jumpy and all over the place, and in a sense like it's really like this childlike wonder of just having these reactions and like, you know, like, oh, why am I in this body, and kind of like the self-exploration. There are some pages in here that I dog-eared that just, I don't know, really spoke to me. The truth is that I secretly love what seems to be my own individuality, and I hope I always will, but fully embodying it is another matter. I always want people to think that I'm a good girl. And girl, I feel that. Like, I feel like I love who I am, but being true to oneself in front of other people, like that's hard. You know, like it's being perceived, and that's hard, especially this day and age. The Secret History by the one and only Donna Tartt. This is insane that this was her debut novel. I was nonstop reading this. Like, I was up 3 a.m. reading this. I was taking this everywhere with me, on the subway, in the bathroom, at work during lull times. Like, I was bringing this with me everywhere because I just needed to know what happened next. And it's insane because a book has not gripped me like that in so long. The characters aren't even that likable. That's the thing. But like the way that she tells the story, like you just want to keep finding out more and more and more. Like, where the fuck is this gonna go? This really took me for a whirl. And I feel like the less you know about this, the better. No wonder the blurb is like this tiny little 3 sentences, barely. I really recommend this book. This is probably my favorite read of the year. Definitely my favorite read this month, for sure. I know some people have like mixed reviews about this book. I love it. I really loved it. It was right up my alley, and that's what I'll say about it. And then we have Evenings and Weekends by Oisin McKenna. I hope I pronounced his first name correctly. This is basically told during a really hot London heat wave, and it's about this ensemble cast of characters, and there's a lot of secrets. So this book just felt like watching a reality TV show and like the gossip kind of unfolding. That's really what it was to me. I don't know, there's a lot of like characters that you really feel for. You get really frustrated at some points because you're like, come on, just say it already. Or like, I don't know, you're like really rooting for characters. It's told in a lot of like different POVs from each of those characters, so if you like that, you might enjoy this. I will say this dragged on at around like the 70% mark for me, and then it kind of just threw in random POVs that I felt like was for fluff. I felt like it didn't add anything. That could just be me, and it's really hot gossip. That's what it is. Next we have Perfection. This book, just like warning, if you don't want to get called out, if you don't want confrontation of your life choices and the millennial or zillennial experience, don't pick it up. No, but genuinely, it's scary. Like genuinely scary how much I related to this. And it was like, is this play about us? And the thing is, like, when I was reading reviews, a lot of people thought the same thing. And it's just insane, because how can you write a book like that? That's like so generic, that so many people relate to it on that level. But I guess maybe that was the point. This basically follows a couple, Anna and Tom, and they are expats living in Berlin. They're this creative couple working in like these creative fields, surrounded by creative friends, and you know, they live in this beautiful apartment with their cool aesthetic thing. You know, then they're part of like a political movement for like 5 minutes. Then their creative friends move away, or like they do something else. Anna and Tom are kind of bored with their life, and then time flies by and they're like, what the fuck happened? I don't know if there's really a moral to the story, but it was just so provoking to read. I feel like it makes you think a lot, and it's a relatively short read. It's a novella, so she's skinny, and it's a translated work. This is by an Italian author, and I believe it's his first work to be translated to English. Yeah. Oh, and it's shortlisted for the Booker Prize. Alchemized, my baby. She's a thick one, coming in at 3 pounds, literally, and over 1,000 pages. You guys, Sen put their hard work into this. I finished this in 6 days, which, am I insane? Yes, I am. But I was also sick and didn't really have anything to do, so you know, it is what it is. I am not kidding when I say that Senlin Yu really changed my life, because if it was not for them, I would not be the reader that I am now. Manifold really drew me out of such a big reading slump, like I'm talking years. Anyways, I owe a lot to Sen and their work, and I'm just really proud of them. And I did also go to the midnight release of Alchemized. I'll insert the clips for you now.
Sure that I had like laid out everything in order of the developments, like the information being revealed slowly to make sure.
Okay, so back from those clips, I actually had a ton of anxiety going to the book launch, because it was like 3 hours prior to the book actually launching, and I went alone, and I was an anxious girl. Like, okay, what am I gonna do for 3 hours? Who am I gonna talk to? I'm just gonna be a loner in the corner. Ended up being fine. They gave us a lot of activities. It was fun. It was really crowded, and it was nice being surrounded by other Germani lovers, and it was a safe space for sure. On to the actual review of Alchemized, and I'm sure more people will actually go in depth and probably give bigger, more thoughtful thoughts around this. As you can tell, I'm a huge fan, and I'm biased. I'm not going to say anything really negative about this because I'm biased. And I think my main thing is that I am just really happy to have this. I think Sen did a really great job at world building. It's pretty significant in how they get into like the government details and the city tensions and war. You can feel the tensions and the complexity of the characters, and even like the tensions brewing between like the good and the bad. And it's kind of morally gray in terms of who is actually good and bad between like the stereotypical good and bad. So I kind of like that there's layers to both sides. In terms of the two main characters, Helena and Kane, I think it was Helena. I kept going between Helena or Helena. Started off a little bit weak for me because I wish that it showed a little bit more of their time in school together, or something where like, I don't know, like they crossed over more. They like had a little bit more history. So I felt like I could like see how, I don't know, does that make sense? Like it felt like they didn't have a ton of history prior other than like kind of knowing each other in school, but like not really. I wish that it was more like kind of they knew each other and like they pined for each other a little bit. Then like when they actually met again, there was more to it, and they could like really act on it. The more they like knew about each other, the more things started to happen, etc. But it wasn't really like that. That's a more personal preference. I still think the story developed beautifully. It always makes me freaking like sob at the end. It definitely broke my heart. This story is not for the weak. I will say, like, there's a lot of strong content warnings. Anyone picking up this book like needs to go into it reading the content warnings, needs to go into it knowing exactly what it's about and being prepared for it. I really enjoyed my time with Alchemized. I will treasure it forever. I'm so happy that, you know, I was able to see Sen talk, experience their greatness, and just see Alchemized out into the world and have others experience the story. The book is broken out into 3 acts. And yeah, I think like the way that they crafted each act and how the story really unfolds is just so powerful. And when I'm ready, I will do a reread of starting with Act 2, Act 1, and then Act 3. I didn't do that for Manacled because I was not prepared. I don't know if I'll ever be prepared. Yeah, so I think that's all I'll say about Alchemized, and I'll just end all of my book reviews for the month there.